But anyways, I'm here joined with Adrian, the ruler Redman, professional boxer, super middleweight, fighter from Neasden IQ Boxing Club again. Second fight I've interviewed from there. Tell us about yourself. Let's let the people know who you are. Let's start from the beginning. Who's Adrian Redman?
Who is Adrian Redman? Just a genuine guy. You get what you see. Like there's nothing hidden about me. It's just upfront, outright.
Okay.
Yeah.
And okay, tell us about yourself. Like, where are you from? Where did you grow up? What country? From?
Northwest Caribbean heritage, but I was
Whereabouts in
born
the
over
Caribbean?
here. Jamaica, Barbados. Got family that's Guyanese.
Okay, so you're a bit of a mix then. Okay.
But I got a strong connection to my Jamaican heritage.
Okay, likewise.
So,
I'm fully Jamaican.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you didn't tell already.
Yeah.
But yeah. So what was it like growing up in Northwest for you?
Same old, man. I think it's the same everywhere. It's just different names. You got the same characters everywhere. You get people who's angry. You get people who's a nice person. You get, no matter where you go. I think on the whole planet, it's just the same.
And okay, where would you early on in your life? Where would you fit into that realm in Northwest? So how would you describe yourself? Was you a troublesome kid? Was you on the straight and narrow?
Nah,
what was you on?
I wouldn't say straight and narrow, but the way I was back then is the way I am now. So it's like, I wouldn't say I adhere to any rules. I just do as I please.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Okay. I'm trying to read between the lines,
Yeah,
but okay. Okay.
So what I feel, like, as long as it's morally correct, I don't try to harm people, but yeah, I just do as I please. I don't try to be restricted.
Okay, so I understand you got into boxing quite later on in life.
Yeah.
What was your interest before boxing? And how did you end up getting into boxing?
I was always interested in keeping in shape, keeping fit.
Yeah.
I was always interested in boxing as well, to be honest. But it's like, it just never really happened. But it happened at the right time. And I believe nothing happens before its time. So
what was you doing before boxing then?
The same old academic stuff. I was in college, uni.
You went to uni, yeah?
Yeah.
What did you study?
Hospitality.
Okay.
Yeah.
What uni did you go to?
West London.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you studied hospitality. What was the career path you was hoping for?
To be honest, I wanted to be in like that type of industry, like the hotel industry, but it's like I never really had one particular direction.
Okay.
I didn't know, I was never really stuck at anything like I have with boxing. Since I found boxing, that's the first time in my life I've been completely dedicated and focused.
You reckon boxing's giving you that discipline?
100%.
Yeah.
It's given me something to focus on, whereas before I didn't know what I wanted to do.
So you had aspirations to be in hospitality, and then at what point did you realize, okay, this might not be for me, let me take up boxing? How did you get into boxing?
To be honest, I never really felt it was for me in the first place. I was just going through the normal structure. So you finish school, you go to college, you finish college, you sign up to uni. But I never really felt like it was for me. I always knew that I wanted something different. I wanted to do something else, and that led me to be a bit wayward and get caught up in different things.
Okay.
I remember I was doing boxing, I was doing the exercise classes.
A keep fit class, okay.
Yeah, so I was doing that probably once a week, going gym and stuff, but I was still doing other things. And then I remember I had a court case one time. And then after I beat the court case.
Did we get into that, or is that a bit private and confidential?
Well, it's just, yeah.
Okay, I don't know if you maybe like Vlad.
So like, I beat the court case, and my former youth worker who helped me in court, she came and gave a witness statement, and that helped me a lot.
Okay.
And she said to me, after I beat the case, she said to me, now go fulfill your purpose. And those words have stuck with me, and they keep playing over and over in my head to this day. So after that, that's when I said to myself, you know what, I'm going to take boxing seriously.
And then, okay, so what gym did you start at then?
So I met my current coach.
Okay.
And another coach. There was both of them working together. It was in a Fitness First in Acton.
Okay.
And they were teaching boxing there. So that's when I got introduced to it. But they lost the place. I don't know what happened there. But then, so we started going Stonebridge. And that's what I was doing there probably once a week. Then I ran into my current coach again after a while. Like, this is after all of the trouble and stuff. So
how old was you at this point when you got
20. When I what?
When you was introduced to boxing, you
Oh,
started
21. Yeah.
21. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then so for a couple of years I was doing the once a week and just whatnot, just not taking it seriously.
Yeah.
And then after the court case, that's when I decided to take it seriously. And funny enough, that's when I said to myself, let me take it seriously. And funny enough, about 2 weeks after that, I ran into my current coach and he said to me, I'm opening my own gym.
Okay.
So the day it opened, I was there. And that gym is in Neasden, where I currently train.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So you was doing the Keep Fitters class and then you went on to the amateurs, right?
Yeah.
So how many years after doing the Keep Fitters did you say, alright, cool, yeah, I'm going to take it serious and go amateur and pursue the ABAs?
3 years.
Kind of 3 years, yeah?
Yeah.
And how long did your amateur career last for?
A couple of years. Yeah, I wasn't an amateur for too long. And I
Nah.
only had 15 fights as well.
Only 15?
Yeah.
So you had no ambitions to fight for GB or anything like that?
Nah, because my coach, the style of training he taught us from the beginning, and he said from the start that his goal is to be a professional coach.
Okay.
So he wasn't teaching us for the amateurs, he was prepping us to be pros.
Yeah.
So he was judging our progress on certain things that he had.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
And you found the transition quite easily then because of your coach, obviously. Okay. And then did you not win any competitions during?
No.
Okay, because you wasn't focused on that.
Yeah.
Makes sense. So cool.
I would have liked to though.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know.
Did you have those kind of conversations with your coach? To be like, he wasn't airing it.
Nah, I mean, if I had more experience, because there were teammates of mine that entered those tournaments, but like the ABAs and stuff, but I didn't have that much experience. So yeah, I wasn't elite.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you had a little run in the amateurs and then you went to pro. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us about that. Who did you sign with? What's that process like for those people that are listening and watching, and the amateur fighters that are looking to make that transition? Break that down for us so they understand the process of what it is to change from an amateur fighter to a professional fighter, the business side of things, and finding the right manager and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, so my coach had a relationship with Steve Goodwin, who's a boxing manager. So it was kind of easy for me. So he introduced me to him. I had a meeting with him. And I liked the things he said because it wasn't like he was trying to sell it to me. He was giving me the real. So he wasn't... from that conversation, I saw that he was genuine and he had nothing to gain. So I chose to sign with him. And you sign a contract, you sign a management contract, 3 years. Well, my one was 3 years. I don't know about anyone else's. And then your manager guides your career and finds you the right fights.
So try and break it down a bit more, like in terms of what's like the manager's job and like how do you benefit from signing to a manager, and do you get paid? Because in football it's a lot different because football is the main sport over here. You get paid a salary or whatever.
Okay, so in entertainment, obviously the pay that you receive depends on the attention that you bring to the sport.
Okay.
So whether it's TV views or ticket sales, so it's the same in boxing. You have to sell tickets down to what you bring to the table. Because if you don't have a TV deal with a network, where's the money coming from?
So a new fighter like yourself can get a TV deal, yeah?
It just depends on their profile. Because the TV network has to have a reason for wanting to sign you. So they have to really believe in you, or they probably see you as a guy that can bring money to the table. So
explain this as well for the viewers as well. So generally for new fighters, you start off at York Hall, you're on the card for that, and then other fighters like who I interviewed last week, Yusuf, he's had a couple of fights at the O2 and stuff. And generally at the York Hall, how much you get paid is dependent on how much tickets you sell, and the money you have after you pay for your opponent, your manager's fees, and etc. Yeah. In the O2 arena, it's a bit different, and obviously people are buying tickets online, and all different avenues. It's not just you handing out tickets. How does it work when a new fighter is fighting at the O2?
I'm not sure because I haven't personally experienced that. But I assume if it's televised, then I assume that they should receive money from the promoter, whoever's promoting the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool. That's a question for someone else then.
Yeah.
Hopefully I can get a bit more clarity on that. So, cool. You're 5 fights in, unbeaten, and you were supposed to have a Southern area title fight. Is that correct?
Eliminator.
Eliminator, yeah? And you had a hard camp. Is it 10-week camp you had?
Yeah.
Trained hard, sold tickets and stuff like that. And the day before the fight, your opponent pulled out.
Nah, 2 weeks before.
2 weeks before?
Yeah, well, over 2 weeks before.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, explain that side of things. Like, you've sold your tickets, you've convinced people to buy your tickets and support you. Then all of a sudden, the opponent pulls out. How does that affect your ticket sales in terms of, how does that affect you, like, going back to the people that bought your ticket and said,
well,
and
more mentally than anything, it was draining. Because after having trained for 8 weeks, to find out that your opponent's pulled out, so it's all for nothing. And I don't think people understand how expensive training camps are. So to see nothing afterwards, that's a bit jarring as well. And then people would take time off work in advance, because I know it's difficult for some people to get time off work. So they'd book time off weeks in advance. There's people who, I've got loyal support. So there's people who are supposed to go on holidays and they cancel it. They cancel their plans. Situations like that. So having to explain to them after all of that the fight's not happening anymore.
So let's take a pin for a second. You said how expensive a camp is. Can you tell us about that?
Well, you have to make sure you're eating the right foods. Some people have nutritionists as well. You have your personal trainers as well to get your strength and conditioning. I have to pay for my physio, stuff like that. Travel. Other people on other levels, they have to pay for sparring partners. So training camps in itself is expensive because also you're spending your time. So whereas if you weren't training, you could have been working. So
true. So cool. So people's paid their tickets, the fights got cancelled. Do you have to reimburse them, or how does that work?
Yeah, just reimburse them.
And then hopefully, and then it comes to a stage where you have another fight and you have to go back to them and try and convince them to buy another ticket. Surely, like, the boxing association should have some kind of rule put in place to stop this kind of thing from happening, and people that do pull out from fights beforehand should be penalised in some way. Is that the case? I believe
so. I believe so. That's a good idea. I think if you do pull out from a fight, then you should have to pay some type of fine. However, that might be a bad idea, because let's say you do have a serious injury, you're going to end up going into the fight anyway because you don't want to pay the fine. So I think it's just one of those situations where you just have to take the L. It just is what it is. You can't change it. You just have to accept what you can't change.
So how long have you been a pro right now? Currently?
Over a year, nearly 2 years.
Nearly 2 years. And what's some of the other struggles that you found personally being a boxer? It could be mentally, it could be
definitely
anything.
Mentally.
Go on.
It's training. I mean, if you're training twice a day, you've got no more social life.
You train twice a day, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
So socially it affects you because you've got no time for anything else. A lot of people can't understand that. They'll say, oh, you're at training, or oh, you finished training, so why can't you do this now? So it's hard to explain to people that's not in the boxing industry. So then it affects you socially, affects you mentally. Because even when I go home sometimes, I'm just so mentally drained. I'm just chilling on my bed in silence for a couple of hours. No TV, nothing.
Have you ever felt like giving up at all? Anything like that?
When I was an amateur, I felt like giving up because when I had to first diet, that alone is a big struggle. That's one of the hardest parts of boxing, funny enough, dieting.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's your diet like? What do you eat?
I'm a pescatarian, so it's just fish for me.
I've wanted to do that because I feel like being a vegetarian would be a bit too much for me, because being Caribbean, like, it's chicken and rice, oxtail, curry mutton every day. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So cutting out the meat completely is difficult. So right now I've tried to cut out pork, and then I tried to cut out the red meats as well, and it's just chicken right now. But one time I was in movements, and an old Rasta man came to me and said, I should lay off the chicken because as men it's not good, apparently. But I was thinking of trying to make the transition to pescatarian, but I think I can do it. But yeah, one day at a time. But yeah, so you're a pescatarian.
Yeah. When I'm in training camp, I try to cut out dairy
Mm.
because it's a heavy mucus producer, and I don't like how that makes me feel. So I cut out dairy. Yeah, I just try to eat light, sweet potato.
Mm-hmm.
I try to avoid the rice because it just makes me feel too bloated.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like that, spinach, kale.
So cutting out like the big carbs and stuff, and you're training twice a day, don't you feel like
That's the
lethargic?
struggle. We need to. Everyone's different, so we all need to find out what works for us.
Mm-hmm.
So chicken might make you feel strong, whereas
Mhm.
chicken might make me feel lethargic.
Mm-hmm.
So it just all depends. Me personally, I found a system that works for me. So I don't really have too much heavy carbs, but I still get the energy I need. So I'll have my oats and stuff like that.
Did you find it hard to cut out the meat initially, or was
Nah, I've been pescatarian for 9 years. So when I first cut out the meat, I wasn't really big on red meat anyway. I just used to eat chicken.
Okay.
But it started leaving a heavy feeling on my chest for a couple of days after I would eat it. So I said, you know what, let me just experiment. Let me go a month without eating it. And I found it easy. So I said, you know what, let me just carry on.
Mm-hmm.
But at first, I was eating a lot of them products that taste like chicken,
Okay.
like the corn brand.
Well,
and all that.
that's my thing. That's another thing I have to talk on. Yeah, I've had the corn products as well. Yeah, and I've had like these sausages that do not contain meat, but they taste like meat. Surely that's not good for you.
Can't
Because if it's tasting so much like meat and stuff, this is you're eating chemicals and all these things that can't be good for you. And
Yeah,
it's
I know.
advertised as such a healthy alternative, and it tastes good. And in my mind, I'm thinking, yeah, it's not meat. This should be good. But in the back of my mind, I'm not an idiot, so I know.
Yeah, exactly. But these days, I'm extra conscious of what I'm putting into my body. So even if I'm in a supermarket, I'm checking the ingredients on the back of something before I put it in the trolley.
Mm-hmm.
But all that, the corn stuff, that was only maybe the first year when I first turned pescatarian. So I've been pescatarian for 9 years now. That was probably the first year. But then I just got used to not tasting it at all. So
You're inspiring me to change the way I am. Seriously, because
but everyone's different though.
Yeah.
So everyone's different.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say like because I'm doing it, you have to do it.
Yeah,
I'm not like one of them vegan
for
Stevens
sure, but
on Instagram.
I know within myself that's a change I need to make
Yeah.
in my life to try and be healthier. And like sometimes there'll be days where I don't drink no water. I need to make sure that I have my 2 liters. I can't lie, this is even all from today. This is from yesterday.
Oh.
So it's bad, but I need to improve on that. But okay, so how old are you then?
I'm 29.
You're 29.
Yeah.
And you're 5 fights and you turned professional at 27.
7.
So
Yeah.
later than most fighters.
Yeah.
And you're having a Southern Area title eliminator fight.
Yeah.
So you want to be something to fight for titles soon.
Yeah.
How's the preparation different from just fighting a regular journeyman? This time now you're fighting. This fight actually.
I've always treated every fight like anything can happen anyway. So I always train hard as if the opponent's coming to kill me. I leave no stone unturned, and my coach is the same way. So he's a perfectionist. So because I believe it will always play in the back of your mind. If you know you didn't run when you were supposed to run, when you're in the ring, it's gonna be in your mind. So the difference with this fight is it was 10 rounds. So I was running longer. I was sparring more rounds. So
because I understand what you mean, because I'm gonna keep fitter, but I do like to get in the ring and spar and stuff. And the runs do make a difference, because I've been in the ring with guys that are better than me and stuff. And after the second round of sparring, I'd say in the third round, you start to feel lethargic and stuff. And you just think to yourself, if only I did them runs, maybe I'd be feeling a bit better. I'd have more energy.
See, some people don't need to run, but some people do. Like I said, everybody's body is different. I need to run. I know I'm one of those people. If I don't run and I'm sparring, I'm going to feel it. But there's people like Deontay Wilder doesn't run. But they do things like swimming and stuff like that to substitute. But I mean, running is wear and tear. That puts mileage on the body. And I know people that's
shin splints.
grown men, they've had hip replacement operations, stuff like that. It messes up your knees. It's actually wear and tear on the body. So this is why I say to people as well, there's a difference between your age and your date of birth, because you might be 20 and the next man might be 40, but your age could be 40 and his age might be 30. because it's just how you treat your body. It's the mileage you put on your body.
I get what you mean. So, cool. You're in a very competitive boxing weight division. You're a super middleweight. You've got phenomenal fighters in there. One of my favourites, Billy Joe Saunders. You've got Chris Eubank Jr. The list goes on. Honestly, where do you think long term your career is gonna go? Obviously, they're a different pedigree of fighter right at the moment, and in the future, I'm sure you have aspirations to be a world champion one day.
Yeah, of course.
How many years have you set yourself that goal?
No.
No?
I believe everything happens when it's supposed to happen. And I don't worry because I know what's meant to be will be. And I know for a fact I'm good enough to get to where I want to be.
Okay.
So I see guys like Eubank. I mean, he's done well. He's a tremendous fighter. He's got to where he is and he's very fit. But on a skill level and technically wise, I don't really rate him like that.
What things don't you rate in his
his footwork's terrible, even with his new coach. The guy still falls over his feet like Bambi on ice. It's like it's crazy. I mean, basic things he doesn't do, like a simple 1-2. Not saying that you have to, but certain times it's necessary and you can't throw a jab, and that's what you need to do. So technically, I don't really rate him, but he is a very good fighter, and fighting him will be a difficult night for anybody in world boxing.
The thing is with Eubank, in my humble opinion, it's a strange one because on Snapchat, when he's being videos on the pads, on the bag, even in sparring, this guy looks like he's on steroids. He looks like he doesn't get tired or nothing. He's just vicious. I've seen him beat up heavyweights and just eat them for breakfast.
Yeah, in sparring.
And it's like, well, when it's fight time, he did do well against James DeGale. It's just a different story, and it just makes me think.
But it's levels, though. It depends on the levels of his sparring partners. He's just getting sparring partners that look like heavy bags. Because I watch his Snapchat as well. So it's just, it all depends. Like certain things are for sure. We don't see the sparring sessions that was difficult. Because I feel like the ones that he knows is going to be difficult, he wouldn't record it. Because that's when he's really switched on. So yeah.